here again. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to get back into our very basic Bible study, looking at the book of Judges. And we're going to start with chapter 12, pick up where we left off last time. It should be a short one today, so I'll do a little review of a couple of key things. One is that we're talking about a period in Israel's history from about 1375 BC to about 1050 BC. Over 400 years. Anyway, we've gone through most of the judges now. We're going to talk about a few more today, very briefly. Not much is said about them. But let's see what chapter 12 has to say to us. Then the men of Ephraim were summoned, and they crossed the Zaphon and said to Jephthah, "Why did you cross over to fight against the sons of Ammon without calling us to go with you? We will burn your house down on you." So they threatened Jephthah. Remember, Jephthah had gone out and defeated the Ammonites in the last chapter. Great victories. And all of a sudden, tribe of Ephraim comes up and is offended. Don't know if this is a kind of a false righteous indignation, because we'll see what Jephthah's response here is in the next verse. And Jephthah said to them, "I and my people were at great strife with the sons of Ammon. When I called you, you did not deliver me from their hand." So he's indicating that he did call them, even though there's no record of that in the previous chapters. But he's saying, "I did call you and you didn't come. So you have no right to be indignant in this situation." Verse 3, "And when I saw that you would not deliver me, I took life in my hands and crossed over against the sons of Ammon, and the Lord gave them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me?" Again, he's saying, we did call you, you didn't come. We took matters into our own hands, and God delivered us. It was God's plan for all this to happen. Then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought Ephraim. And the men of Gilead defeated Ephraim, because they said, "You are fugitives of Ephraim, O Gileadites, in the midst of Ephraim and in the midst of Manasseh." So the Ephraimites kind of insulted them. I guess there was some trash talk going on here, probably some jealousy involved. And so fighting broke out between these two tribes. And the Gileadites captured the fords of the Jordan opposite Ephraim. And it happened when any of the fugitives of Ephraim said, "Let me cross over," the men of Gilead would say to him, "Are you an Ephraimite?" If he said no, then they would say to him, "Say now Shibboleth." But he said Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it correctly. Then they seized him and slew him at the fords of the Jordan. Thus there fell at the time 42,000 of Ephraim. Quite a price to pay for jealousy, 42,000. Basically, there were some kind of idiomatic differences between the languages, the way it was spoken. And so they could tell if someone was from Ephraim based on the way they pronounced certain words. So I guess that was a way to do it. But anyway, I'd hate to be killed for pronouncing a word a certain way, but in that manner they even killed the stragglers trying to get back home. Quite a sad situation, you know. Verse 7, "And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead." So the fighting finally comes to a stop for a while. Jephthah had defeated the Ammonites. Then he had to fight his own brother tribe, defeated them. And then he had 6 years of relative peace. Then we hear about some other judges that we really aren't told anything about much. But let's read through here and see what we can find out about him. Now Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel after him, and he had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he gave in marriage outside the family. And he brought in 30 daughters from outside for his sons, and he judged Israel 7 years. So apparently he followed this practice, which was common back then, of marrying off his daughters and bringing daughters of other clans and tribes in as a kind of a covenant sealer. They wouldn't fight against each other because there was an intermarriage between the daughters and sons. So it's kind of a political mechanism that was used back then. And apparently he did it quite a lot. But that's all it said about him. Then Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. So the next one is in verse 11. Now Elon, the Zebulunite, judged Israel after him, and he judged Israel 10 years. Then Elon, the Zebulunite, died and was buried at Aijalon in the land of Zebulun. So there's really nothing we know about him except where he was buried. Then we move on to Abdon. It says, verse 13, Now Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathonite, judged Israel after him. And he had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys, and he judged Israel 8 years. So all we can know about him, we have to infer from this donkey terminology, is that they were well off, very well off, probably noble family, and that's about it. He judged Israel 8 years. So here we have this succession of judges that each judged Israel a number of years, a short number of years, and then they die. That's what happened to Abdon. And that's what happened to Abdon. It says, Then Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathonite, died and was buried at Pirathon in the land of Ephraim, in the hill country of the Amalekites. So that's really all we know about him. Well, this was a short study, chapter 12. Really all we learned from this is the dangers of jealousy. You remember earlier on we studied about Gideon. He was more tactful. He replied to challenges to him softly, and it turned away the wrath of the other tribes. But here Jephthah, he had nothing to do with that. He was very blunt and straightforward. And the Ephraimites got into this trash-talking mode. The next thing you know, they've lost 42,000 men. So that's quite tragic. Anyway, we've covered a lot of the judges now, and next time we're going to start looking at Samson. It'll probably take a couple of sessions to cover everything about him. But for now, we'll stop. I hope this has been meaningful to you, and I hope you'll watch the next ones. In the meantime, God bless. Bye-bye.